Today I'm going to show you how to make a magic ring in crochet. You might also hear it called a magic circle. Either way, in patterns it's usually abbreviated as MR or MC. This technique is perfect for projects working in the round where you want the center hole to be closed up, like amigurumi, hats, coasters, etc. So let's get started. Alright, let's start by leaving a yarn tail that's long enough to weave in later. Use your thumb to hold the yarn tail and wrap it around the back side of your index and middle finger. Then come back around parallel to the yarn tail and cross over the yarn on the back to form an X. And use your ring finger and your pinky to hold the working yarn. You should now have an X on one side and two parallel lines on the other. With your hook facing downward, go under the first strand of yarn and up over the second strand of yarn. Then using your hook, pull the second strand through. Once you pull it through, take your hook and turn it clockwise until the hook is facing upward, and this forms a loop. Then yarn over and pull through the loop to create a chain. You can now remove the magic ring from your fingers by pinching the chain with your right index finger and thumb and removing your left fingers from the ring. You've just completed a magic ring. Remember that the stitch used determines the number of chains you will need here. So traditionally for a single crochet it is 1 chain, 2 chains for a half double crochet, and 3 for a double crochet. In this video I will be using single crochets, so I will keep it at only 1 chain. You'll now work the first round of single crochet into the magic ring by crocheting under both strands of yarn. I've made 6 single crochet into my ring and can now close it up by pulling the yarn tail. You can usually pull it pretty tight with yarns like acrylic or cotton, but with fluffy yarns like chenille, you'll have to be very careful or else it'll snap in two. You can now close the circle by joining the round either with a slip stitch or doing continuous or spiral rounds, whichever your pattern says to do. Just for this example, I will join with a slip stitch. At some point in your project, you will need to make sure that the hole in the center doesn't loosen or open back up, and you'll do this by weaving in the tail. Notice the direction that the yarn tail is coming out. When we start weaving it in, we will go in the same direction at first. If you need to, go ahead and tighten the center by pulling the yarn tail. Grab your yarn needle and thread the yarn tail through it. I find if you wrap the yarn around the needle, pinch the yarn and pull it off, then insert and kind of wiggle that folded yarn into the eye of the needle, it's a bit easier to thread the needle that way. Weaving your yarn tail through your work may be a bit tricky and take a few attempts at first. You'll notice that even I sometimes struggle getting my needle through these small tight stitches. But I'll start by inserting the needle through the first 2 stitches of the first round and pull the yarn through. Then insert the needle through the next 2 stitches of the round and pull through. And finally I'll go through the last 2 stitches of the round. I have now went all the way around. If your hole in the center still needs closing, you can go back around in the same direction another time. But in this case, I don't need to do so. So I'll find a loop nearby and insert the needle under it and pull through, but this time I'll leave a loop. Then I'll put my needle through the loop from back to front. Then I'll pull on the yarn strand at the bottom to tighten the loop. Then I'll pull the yarn strand that's connected to my needle tight. This creates a little knot to help keep the yarn from loosening and letting the hole open back up. Now I'll work back in the opposite direction for a few stitches. Then I'll just keep going through stitches, changing directions every so often to help prevent it from pulling out easily. Here I changed and went up around. Once you've weaved back and forth enough, you can cut the yarn. And that's it. You just made a magic ring or a magic circle. Whether your pattern says MR or MC, you now know exactly what to do. But don't forget to weave in that tail so your center stays nice and tight. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and happy crocheting!